Hey friends and family, it's Big V here, and thought it was time for me to make a video about reflections and about thinking about ourselves and the way we perceive the world, and whether we're participants, contributors, consumers, what we're doing, and whether our lives are making a difference to anybody else or whether we're living a selfish existence. And so I spent this week, I've gone through and done most of the my usual subscriptions, you know, like going and checking out on everybody's videos and stuff. But in addition to
Take 37. Not really, but it feels like it. I took my little camera, this thing. It's like a little GoPro clone sort of thing. And it was $60 at Kmart. It does 1080p, 60 frames a second. All sounded too good to be true. So I bought it. It was $60 and I thought that's going to be terrific. So what I did, I went for a walk out along Cronulla Beach, and with my dark sunnies on, I looked smashing. I'm telling you, I looked so good. And I was there walking along the beach, holding it out in front of me like this, talking to all of you guys, telling you how great things were. It worked for about 3 minutes, and then the thing cut out. And so now I'm here making this one. So because I've got stuff that I wanted to talk about, and I didn't want it to be interrupted with poor quality video. Anyway, I've rambled already for how much? That can't be right. It says I've been going for 13 minutes. That's because this is take 37. Anyway, I'm going to have to chop and edit to get this right. This is not a weekly update, which is due tomorrow, so I probably should have just made it my update. I haven't weighed myself this week. Reason being is I've been chocked up, have not been to the toilet for like this 8 days. I actually went today and was very thankful. I dosed myself up with laxatives yesterday and got nowhere. So yeah, it was a bit uncomfortable, which is an indicator that I need to do something about what I'm doing with my diet. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit just before I get into the real message that I want to talk about. I really want to talk about self-evaluation, reflection, and thinking about ourselves. But just before I do, I want to think about myself a little bit. See what I did there? You know, I just wanted to look. I've watched a whole stack of videos in the last week. Not just the YouTube ones, the normal ones that I watch, but things on Netflix. Now, don't tell anyone, but here in Australia we don't get Netflix, so I have to actually pretend that I'm in America to get Netflix. With technology you can do all sorts of things, so yeah, I've got this little tunnel that I've dug underground all the way through to America, and I've popped my head up in Colorado. I'm actually Phil's next door neighbour, he didn't know that, so I get Netflix, and I watch these programs on Netflix that all been sort of doco sort of things that I've been doing. There's been a few of them that I've watched in the last week. They've all been along the same sort of lines. I'll try and remember what they were called. The first one was just happiness. So just look up happiness. Make you happy. Really good. The next one was called I Am, which sounds like it's going to be religious, but it's not at all. It's about a film director. Can't remember his name. Shady something or other. I've got a memory like a sieve, honestly. I can't even remember the films that he made, just thinking of I think it was... It's gone. I wasn't very impacted by his films, I guess. Ace Ventura. I think. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. I think he did that one. Pretty sure he did that one. Yeah, I remember him asking somebody about it. I'm going to be really embarrassed if I go back and look at that later on and it's not Ace Ventura. But I'm going to say it was Ace Ventura, so the director from Ace Ventura. And it was about his life, and he'd gone through, you know, like he'd been super successful, made these films, had made a lot of money, had done really well, had a beautiful big, you know, fancy house in, I don't know if it was Beverly Hills, but something like that. You know, he was sitting pretty, everything was going really well, but he was not happy. He was not happy on the inside. And so it was a bit of a journey of his discovery of finding joy in life again, which I found was really interesting. The other show I watched was called The Human Experience, which was about a couple of brothers that decided to throw themselves into really different situations. Like one of them was in the middle of winter, sleeping on the streets in the middle of Boston, and you know, sharing the streets with the homeless. Then they went to Ghana, and they went to a leper colony, and then they also went looking after disabled kids in Peru. So they just travelled around the world and stayed in all these really bizarre places just for the human experience. And yeah, look, it's just interesting, just stuff to get you thinking about evaluating your life, you know. And was I halfway through talking about my diet? Do I appear to be chopping and changing here? Okay. I'm just going to cut back just a little bit very quickly. I was talking about how I'd been chocked up, constipated, hadn't gone to the loo, and that I was going to say something about that first. One of the other shows that I watched was called Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. Now that is on Netflix, but it's also, the full movie is also on YouTube. And I found that really interesting too. But basically it's about a guy who goes on a juice fast. Where he has absolutely nothing apart from juice, vegetable juice, fruit and vegetable juices that he was living on for 60 days. There's an Aussie bloke, and he was touring America while he was doing it. And yeah, he lost a lot of weight and regained his health, and inspired a lot of people along the way, and was quite interesting. I also watched another one, Vegucated, about people becoming vegans. Now, I'm not saying that we should become vegans. I'm not a vegan, certainly not a vegan. Love my meat, but I have to acknowledge that my body's telling me something. When you're constipated and you can't go for 8 days, that's telling you something. There's something that's not right in your diet. And it's basically not enough fibre, natural fibre at least anyway. You know, I do supplement with a bit of fibre, I put a bit of, what's it called, Benefibre. But that just doesn't seem to be doing the trick for me. I've also been doing some prunes, you know, trying to get stuff in to help me go, but not really working. And I think my diet has become too protein focused. Look, I love the taste of meat. I can eat it all day. I love it. But it's the meat and it's whey protein. So is what I'm basically living on, is meat and whey. Love my Quest bars and my protein shakes, and I'm okay with. So you know, that's been my main food. Now, I can't complain about it. It's done me good. Look, I've lost a lot of weight and I'm feeling happier and healthier, and I'm the lightest I've been in my whole adult life. So I certainly can't complain. Those things have done me good. But I'm thinking about, from this point in my life on, I'm not quite at maintenance yet. I've still got another 10, 11 kilos, something like that to go. But I'm certainly thinking about what am I going to be doing now for the rest of my life. You know, I have to have balance, have to have something that's maintainable. And just very quickly, shout outs, congrats to TJ, reaching goal today, mate. Awesome, well done. You know, watched your video and nearly cried with happiness for you, mate. It's so good. It's awesome. I loved it how you chopped in your video and showed the little, you know, bits and pieces as you were progressing through your journey. It was really good, mate. And I think I might do something similar. Steal your idea, why not? It was good, okay? You're the man, TJ, good, well done. Yeah, so, but talking about from now on for the rest of my life, I want to eat healthily. And I think that there's a lot to be said for macronutrients and having good, healthy, fresh vegetables. I've shared before that I want to grow my own. Haven't started doing that yet. I wanted to do aquaponics, but that's like over $1,000 to get started here. So instead of doing that, I've decided to do some hydroponics. I've ordered some hydroponic gear, and no, I'm not going to be growing marijuana in the attic. I don't have an attic. If I put something up there with the Aussie sun beating on my roof, I tell you what, it would fry. It would not grow. My roof gets hot. I don't know if you've got these things, the whirligigs they have in the ceiling, and I've got a solar heat extractor as well but it's still hot up there. Can't live in the roof space in this place. But I want to grow some hydroponic veg that I can juice. So I'm thinking of kale and celery, carrots, cucumbers, whatever. Something that's easy to juice, fresh, basically alive. Pick it off, put it in the juicer, and drink it, or the vitamizer. So yeah, to get the healthy juice, and also to get the macronutrients and the fibre in as well. I've been loving my Quest bars, but I think that I have to limit that to maximum of 1 a day. I've had a couple of times where I've gone for 2, and I think I had one day where I did 3, and I think that's getting excessive, but the suckers taste so good. Anyway, I'm going to be limiting those. Okay, that's all I wanted to say about those things. What I really wanted to get down to was talking about reflection and self-evaluation. And the reason for that is I've been thinking about myself. Tomorrow is a bit of a tough day for us. A beautiful friend of ours, Kim McPhee, passed away. She's only in her early 50s. Lovely lady, and she died too young. She had pancreatic cancer, which is a nasty one, and she fought well. She fought a good fight, but she's gone home to glory. She was a friend of my wife's through work about 15 years ago. They worked in the lab together. My wife's a microbiologist, and so was Kimmy. And they worked in the lab together, and my wife actually had the privilege of leading her to faith. And Kim became a Christian and went on and actually became a chaplain in the hospital, in the Peon Hospital, and had a lot of impact on people's lives. Just a beautiful natured lady, just beautiful. So it's a real sadness, but when you face these sort of things, you think about your own life, and you reflect on what you've done with your existence, and whether you've had any impact on other people's lives, whether you've done other people good apart from just from yourself. And I've looked at some things, and part of me going through all of these videos is that whole evaluation process, and thinking about what's the value of my life, what's really important. And so I wanted to talk about that reflection. I'm certainly not a Bible basher. I'm not going to push anything down anybody's throat. What can I say? From the videos and things that I've watched, the stuff, the messages that I get is very much that we need community, we need other people, and I think that's the value of this YouTube community. I think we're just so supportive and encouraging of each other, and I just love it. I love seeing coming from every angle, and it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter the way that you approach life, or whether you're a big drinker or a drug taker or a religious person or whatever you are. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You're a person and you're big, and I was big too. Others are big. And so we just go, hey, look, we get that. We understand each other. Let's support each other and let's be there. And I think that's a real sense of brotherhood, a sense of community. I love it. I think it's really valuable. So to me, having this community is really important. Saying that, my wife doesn't get it. She would much prefer that I didn't do this. She doesn't stop me. She won't object. But she's not really even interested. I don't even know that she's watched many of my videos. She's seen a couple, but I think it's sort of reluctantly, which hurts a little bit. I encouraged her to join the +1 group or whatever. Is that what it's called? +1? With Lesser Will and Jenny and the others. TJ's Jenny. Anyway, I told her about that, and she goes, "No, not interested." She's a lovely, supportive wife. Don't get me wrong. There's no hassles there, but she just doesn't get this whole thing and the whole social media, Facebook. It just goes against her privacy bone. She's got one of those. I've been looking. I haven't got one. Basically, I don't care. People can know everything about me, and I'm fine with that. So, I am who I am. Love me or don't. That's up to you. So, yeah, I think it's really important, this community. I have to say that I really value my church community as well. I've been involved in my church for 15 years, and they're my family, they're my friends. They're, it means a lot to me. Also feel the same about my workmates. I really value that community. Big part of the problem that we have in modern society is that people are isolated, and I see this with my own mother. I've got a mum, she's 85 in a couple of months' time, and she's all alone. She lives on her own. I try and visit her at least every week, which isn't enough for her. She'd like me to come every day, but I go as often as I can. But she's desperately lonely. And I just think that's really sad. A lot of her friends have passed on, in fact most of them, and those of her friends that are still around are not really mobile. Most of them are housebound, and so she just doesn't see people, and she feels isolated, sad and lonely. I've tried encouraging her to join, to get involved in some sort of to move into a retirement village would be perfect, or to become part of some, old people's group. It sounds wrong, but we have different groups here. What do they call them? I don't know. There are groups for them, like social clubs that they have. And she had been involved in those in the past, but it's just all too hard for her. But it just means that she's sad. And I look at her and it grieves me. I look at my mum and I think it's sad that her life isn't more full. Particularly in these latter years. In the videos that I watched on Netflix during the week, the one I watched called Happiness was particularly impacting, and that was talking about people in Okinawa, little island that I think is part of Japan, or is very close to Japan at least. They look Japanese to me, and I think they speak Japanese. But these people were really happy. There was a whole bunch of them that were, like between 80 and 100 years of age. But they're partying like teenagers. They're having a ball. And there was one old bird on there. She was over 100 years old, and she says she enjoys her sake wine every night, keeps her warm. Good on her. But these people were laughing and having fun and patting each other on the back and really talking about how valuable that community, that connection with each other was to them. And so I think that that's something that we need to really think about with our lives. We need to make sure that we're investing ourselves in other people, supporting other people. And it's not altogether altruistic what I'm saying here. There's an element of selfishness in it, because I just see that people that don't invest in other people, that don't have any input into other people's lives, they become so isolated and lonely and separated that their lives become meaningless. I was really on the news today. I saw that the actor that played Plutarch Heavensby in the Hunger Games series passed away today, only 46. I'm terrible with names. I've forgotten his name. But he passed away today, and there's a man who you would think had everything, had a great career and probably a lot of money, and certainly had a future with the Hunger Games franchise, another 2 big movies to go, and his role in those next 2 movies was really important, so he'll be missed. I don't know what they're going to do to replace him. But it just dawns on me, like people's lives, you can have everything and nothing at the same time. And I think that having lives invested in other people is a big thing. So I guess what I'm coming down to is some of these videos that I was watching. I'll just list them for you. There was Happiness, I Am, and it was another one that was on. Sounds religious, but it wasn't. It's about the director. I think I mentioned that already. The Human Experience. I also watched Vegucated, which was about becoming vegan. And I also watched Life Hacks, which is TED Talks Life Hacks. That one was particularly impacting for me. There was a lady on there who was a gamer, and she was talking about regrets that people have in life. And basically it was people that were terminal, that were dying, and there was a scientific study done on these people to ask them about what was their greatest regrets in life. And there was the top 5. I thought it was really interesting. The top 1 was, I wish I didn't work so hard. Get that, hey? I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Number 2, I wish I had played more. Number 3, I wish I had spent more time with my family. 4, I wish I hadn't lost contact with my friends. And the last and final one I thought was really interesting, and that was, I wished I'd done more of what I wanted to do instead of what I was expected to do. They're questions that we should be asking ourselves, and sometimes you've got to go through a near-death experience or some massive tragedy before you start to weigh up those things in your life. And I just want to take this opportunity to just throw in a little reminder. Let's evaluate ourselves and what we're doing with our lives, and whether we're making a difference in other people's lives. It was interesting, there was one of those videos, I think it was Happiness, where they spoke about dopamine levels, and that it was talking about the things that increase our dopamine levels and the things that decrease our dopamine levels. So I'm going to talk about the ones that decrease our dopamine levels first. Amongst those, there was stress, routine, being sedentary, seriousness, and persistence. Now, they're all the things that go along with having a great career, aren't they? Being stressed, routine, sedentary. I'm describing my job here. All of those things decrease dopamine. Make you not feel good. The things that make you feel good is movement, sport, activity, frivolity. I love that one, frivolity. How good is frivolity? That in itself is justification for me getting dressed up as a zombie with my daughter and marching through the streets of Sydney, which was an absolute hoot, and I felt great. I had a great time. Adventure and flow. Flow is an interesting one. Finding your flow and going with your flow. What it is you love doing and just going and doing it. And for me, I guess that's my writing. I've shared with you that I've been writing a book. I've been getting back into that again a bit lately, and it's just Just love it. It's great. So, you know, what are we doing? Are we increasing our dopamine levels, our feel-good hormones, or are we going downhill with that? I think we should be investing in things that are making us feel good as well. You know, we've all got responsibilities. We've got things that we have to do. We have to have jobs. We have to earn an income. How good is it if you can earn an income doing what you love? That would be great. But that's not always possible. So, you know, I guess try and make your job as fun as possible. I certainly throw a bit of frivolity into my job each day. I get to work with my mate Brad, who is an awesome guy. And we have the silliest, sickest humour in our office. It's just ridiculous. But I wouldn't have it any other way. The only problem I've got is that I have to be careful that you know, we don't get overheard with some of the stuff we go on with. But anyway, let's not go there. So yeah, I just want to challenge people to think about what you're doing with your life, how you're investing your life. And that's it. It's not deep, it's not meaningful, but it's significant. And did I say it's not meaningful? It is meaningful. I mean, it's significant. So just let me have a look at my notes quickly. Is there anything else here that I wanted to add into that? Oh, there was one other. And this was really good. This was actually, our pastor preached a message last Sunday, and it was great. But he gave an example, it had nothing to do with religion, so I think you guys will appreciate it. But he was talking about people that live in regret. And that sort of ties in with what I was talking about before, the top 5 regrets. And he was using the example of the survivors of the Titanic incident. And that while the Titanic sunk and all of these, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people were in that ice-cold water dying, some people were in lifeboats. They were too scared to go back and pick up these people that were drowning because they were afraid they were going to get swamped. So they paddled themselves out to safety, and some of those boats only had a few people in them. Those boats were designed to carry a lot more, but people were scared and they took off and saved their own lives. Those people, there was some study done on those people, and they lived in regret for the rest of their lives. How sad to survive such a horrific incident and yet live in regret for the rest of your lives. But there was one lifeboat, lifeboat number 14, at least that's what I've been told, where they turned back and they rescued as many as they can. And the people that were on that boat, they made a decision to risk their own lives to save others. They didn't live in regret. They lived thankful that they had done, and they made friendships and connections, and deep community came as a result of what had happened there with them. And their lives were rewarding and fulfilled after that. And I think that's a take-home message. I think I can leave it there. Who are you rescuing today?